Hi there, my name is Ashish, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to get started with glassflow. Glassflow is the infra tool that enables you to move and transform your data in real time. Think of it as like a Python-based alternative for a combination of Airbyte and dbt, but for real-time data. It's fully managed, highly scalable, and easy to use. Head on to glassflow.dev to start using the and creating a first data streaming pipeline. Now, let's begin. So to sign in, we have options to create an account with GitHub or Google. I'll choose GitHub in this case, and we end up to app.glassflow.dev. Let's start to create a new pipeline. So the first thing I need to give is to create a new pipeline, and I'll leave everything else to be default. So after giving a name, we end up on this screen that allows us to configure and set up the pipeline. In Glassflow, pipeline consists of three components: the source, the transform, and the sink. The transform is where you define your Python function. It can use any libraries that you want, which you can define and specify requirements of txt, like you do with any other Python code. You can set up your environment variables here that you will can use later in a function, and you can write functions in pure Python. The function needs to be defined as handler. Defines as handler with two arguments: a data argument, which will be the data in the JSON format that is available to your function, and the log variable, which allows you to create log entries into Glassflow. So after you define the function, what Glassflow enables is that for every data that enters the pipeline, the function is automatically executed on that data, and the result is available back into the pipeline. So in so we are going to create a basic pipeline here with so let's create the basic transform function. So in this case, I just pasted the function, which is putting the data into, is dumping the data into the logs, and it's basically creating a hello world message by looking at the name in the data if available. I don't need any requirements, I will leave it empty, and I don't need environment variables for now, so I will leave it empty as well. Now, once I save changes, I go to set up the next part of the pipeline, which is the source part. So the data source is defining how the data should enter the pipeline. There are options of using the Python SDK. So we have a fully fledged Glassflow Python SDK that allows you to create, modify, update pipelines, as well as send and receive data. We also have several managed pipelines with a growing list every day. Right now, we have Amazon SQS, PubSub, and Postgres. These are fully managed integrations or connectors run on Glassflow that enables where Glassflow pulls data directly from your source systems. In this case, I'm going to use for this onboarding video, I'm going to use the Python SDK. The third component is a data sink. The data sink defines where the data should end up after the data has been transformed. We have options of the SDK again, or we have several managed options like ClickHouse, S3, Pinecone, Snowflake, and Webhook. So again, all of these managed connectors, basically Glassflow is going to take your transform data and automatically make it available into one of these destinations. So for this onboarding video, let's use a webhook, and I'm going to create a webhook test site, and I'm going to copy the URL here and paste the webhook URL. Yeah, and that's it. We have configured the pipeline. Now we can deploy it. So let's deploy the pipeline. Yeah, the pipeline is now successfully deployed. It is available to receive data. So we set up SDK to send the data. So for us to be able to use the SDK, we need two components to send the data: the pipeline ID and the access token. So let's now head over to see how are we going to send the data to the pipeline. So here is the producer code. So with a few lines of code, we are able to send the data into our pipeline with the SDK. So we set up the pipeline data source with the pipeline ID and access token. We create the data example data in a JSON format, and we say source.publish data, and that's it. The data will end up into the pipeline. So let's copy the pipeline ID and set this as environment variables into our code so that we are able to use it. So let's head over to a terminal. So I set up the pipeline. I set the pipeline ID and the pipeline access token, and then I'm going to run Python producer.py. And with this, yeah, super simple. The data is ending into the pipeline, and we can now look at the data here in the logs and on the webhook side. So you see already that like Glassflow generates some blocks. It shows you when the pipeline was created and when the function is uploaded. And soon we should be able to get the first data entry. Here is it. So here you see we created like John 2, country USA, age 30, and let's go to the webhook side, and we see here the, as expected, the data has been transformed where the message key has been added. So you see that there was no message key here, but we had defined that we should add a message key that was automatically executed. The message is available and the data was pushed directly into the webhook. So it's as easy, it's as simple to create pipeline and send the data. Now let's send a few more data points to see how it performs when a lot of data is entering the system. So the code looks similar, except that we use a library called Faker to generate fake data, and we're going to send 100 data points directly into the system. So let's look at Python producer streaming.py, and as you see, this data starts to get published into Glassflow. The data if we refresh the logs, we should be able to see. So we see that already in the webhook side, the data has been transformed actually and directly pushed into the sink, which was webhook. And if you look at the logs here, you see that the log entry also are available here. So as you see that this was super easy to set the first pipeline to create data transformations and to send the data automatically into the webhook. Yeah, if you head on to glassflow.dev, you can also look at the docs basically at glassflow.dev/docs. You can look at our Python SDK docs to learn more, and head over to our GitHub to see some more examples. In subsequent videos, we will see how to use Glassflow to run a CDC pipeline from Postgres into Snowflake. Let me know if you'd like to see any more videos of specific use cases. Thank you, and yeah, head on to glassflow.dev to create a free account and start using and creating your first pipelines. Thanks.